this is Rabbit Blog, and welcome to my comic book discussion video. Today's comic book discussion is on whether or not comic book movies should be faithful to the source material. Now, there has been many comic book movies being created over the years, but are the majority of them even faithful to their source material? Here's my personal opinion on this. I'm actually going to answer this two ways since there's several different ways you could look at this subject as a whole. As a pure fangirl, yes, I definitely want to see my favorite comic book stories come to life on film and actually be faithful to the source material it was given. I definitely would like to see a better version of the Dark Phoenix saga being put into film, but I'll get into that later. Probably one of the few comic book movies that I'm aware of that was faithful to its source material was Frank Miller's Sin City. But I'm also aware that sometimes some comic book movies can't exactly be faithful to the source material, because of many different reasons, which includes budgeting issues and time constraints. Sometimes the original source material can be so lengthy that the movies will have to cut out a few scenes just to make sure that the movie doesn't run on too long. And the same goes for action sequences that happen in the comics. Sometimes the movie might not have the budgeting to pull off such spectacular action scenes in the movie. But what happens when you come across a movie where the plotline is so different from the original source material? Personally, to me, it all depends on how the storyline is being delivered. As much as I love it when comic book movies stick to the source material, I also love seeing new takes being done with the characters, and as long as the storyline is really good and the screenwriters got a good grip on the characters and the world they live in, I'm satisfied with the results. However, if the comic book movie steers heavily away from the source material and doesn't do a good job of delivering a story, then I do have a problem with some comic book movies not following the source material. For example, with X-Men The Last Stand, I felt that the movie would have been better off if it had only focused on the Dark Phoenix saga and not tried to tie in another storyline, which was the Mutant Cure storyline from Joss Whedon's run on Astonishing X-Men. The Dark Phoenix saga was pretty lengthy enough to be one movie as a whole, and I honestly couldn't see why they couldn't adapt the entire story into one movie. Now, that's not to say that the idea about wrapping to the Mutant Cure storyline to the Dark Phoenix storyline was bad. It actually sounded pretty interesting, but it wasn't delivered very well in my opinion. I wouldn't mind seeing different comic book storylines tying in with each other as long as the storyline is interesting enough to hold my interest and it's delivered well enough where the story makes a lot of sense. So, if the comic book movie did actually stay true to its source material, would it make the movie much better? I personally think it all depends on the source material that is given. If the source material is really good, then I say, why not? But if the source material was terrible and the movie was only trying to improve on the source material by changing the material, then I think that it would be a good time to change everything from the source material onto the movie screen if the source material itself was not good enough to begin with. So what do you think? Do you think that comic book movies should stay faithful to their source material? Please feel free to comment below, and if there are any other topics about comic books that you want me to talk about, then please feel free to comment below and I'll see what I can do about it. Also be sure to follow me on Twitter so I can keep you updated on new videos that I have posted every week. Well, I hope you enjoyed this comic book discussion. This is Rabbit Blog, and I'll see you later.